Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga will today update the country on the state of readiness for the 2022 matric examinations. The exams are scheduled to start on Monday when learners write English Paper 1. According to the department, the National Senior Certificate exams will take place over 6 weeks. Over 920,000 candidates are expected to sit for the exams this year. The briefing is also expected to outline all the measures put in place to ensure that the exams are a success. However, one of the concerns cited by stakeholders in the sector is how load shedding and the current water crisis could be a hindrance to learners' ability to prepare adequately. Let's speak now to Newsroom Africa's Ahmed Kajee. He is standing by to preview this briefing for us. Ahmed, contextualize this year's exams ahead of tomorrow's papers.
Thanks very much, Dudu. Well, this year's examinations comes off 2 years from the grade 10 examinations, or at least this year's grade 10 starts as well. So many of these learners would have started their high school careers, the senior part of their high school careers, back in 2020. That was at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. So they have had various disruptions over the last 2 years, and it's been exceptionally important as the grade 10 and grade 11 years go a long way in actually that preparedness for matric, and then subsequently tertiary education career as they go forward into their professional lives as well. So looking towards 2020, what did we see then was perhaps the suspension of classes for those initial 21 days after lockdown, and then as we understood more about the pandemic, that's when classes were perhaps reopened on a online platform, and that came with various challenges in terms of access to technology devices, access to the internet, especially for those areas and those socioeconomically challenged areas. That's just one aspect of what we had seen throughout 2020. We actually had only seen classes come through in the latter parts of 2020. Fast forward then into 2021, we had seen those challenges across the July unrest, many schools across Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal being closed for that period around that 2 weeks, as various infrastructure across the two provinces was damaged and perhaps even destroyed as well. And that's just some of the challenges which we had faced in the Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. Also keeping in mind that the COVID-19 pandemic was still at play throughout the year of 2021. Moving to that hybrid model and still staying online, many of those challenges from the early parts of 2020 continued throughout 2021 as well, with perhaps the department and many schools actually finding somewhat of a positive and some sort of a new normal model throughout 2021. And then we had seen towards the start of this year classes returning to normal, and that's when the actual preparedness for this year's exams would have started. But then, as you mentioned, what we then had seen was the implementation of load shedding from the early parts of this year. Unfortunately, for the province of KwaZulu-Natal, they had the floods out in April and May that destroyed millions of rands worth of school infrastructure, and many of those schools are still yet to recover from what we had seen at that particular flooding and the damage which had subsequently was caused by those as well. And then load shedding, as you mentioned, that has been a various challenge, especially over the last 2 months or so in and across the country. And I guess this is an actual part where we will find out what exactly will the department be doing to just have some sort of contingencies in place and to just provide schools with the necessary electricity which is needed. A big part of what has come through from the various departments and various stakeholders, as you have said, for those involved in the technological aspect of their matric years, how exactly will they carry out their computer-based examinations, and perhaps those which even require electricity on the artisanal subject as well. Those are just two of the major concerns coming out of the exam session, especially focusing on electricity. And then in terms of the water provisions, any sort of water shortages would subsequently mean bathrooms and toilets would also have not have running water, and that just has a mental impact when it comes through to preparedness and perhaps just having basic access to water, or drinking water for that matter, for the various schools across the country. So perhaps today we will be able to just have some sort of those concerns addressed by the Minister Angie Motshekga to just take us through exactly what her department's plans are heading into tomorrow, and perhaps whether any contingencies have been put in place over the last 2 to 3 weeks as we head over onto that first paper. And obviously the matriculants will be getting well prepared, trying to get in the last few hours worth of studying ahead of tomorrow's first paper, and when pens actually start bedding down onto paper, and when the matriculants will get the journey after a really intense 3 years worth of their senior part of their high school career to do.
Any indication, Ahmed, if I'm planning my day, as to what time the briefing will start?
So we are expecting things to be getting underway here at 10 o'clock this morning. That will be by the Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga. We will also be then accompanied by the spokesperson and the various media liaisons and other government officials from the Department of Education to just take us specifically through the operations of what we can expect heading through from tomorrow right into the middle part, into the latter part of December, when those matric papers will be ending, and then thereafter it's always that countdown then to the middle of January for those matric results to come out, and then that's obviously when these matriculants will be able to know exactly what their plans are and what they will be doing heading into the academic year of 2023, and what they will be hopefully planning for would be a fruitful year at a tertiary educational institution to do.
Ahmed, Kajee with a little bit of context into the matric exams, as many around the country will be sitting for those exams. More than 900,000 learners in